Hello students, in this video lecture we shall try to study how to get the solution of one-dimensional diffusion equation by one of the method which is known as Fourier decomposition method or variable separable method. We also have some other methods of solving diffusion equation which are Fourier transformation technique, Laplace transformation technique, Green's functions technique and so on, which we will be learning in the future classes. Now, we will just take up one-dimensional heat equation. We already have seen some facts about the one-dimensional heat equation, along with what do we mean by initial condition, boundary condition, what are the different types of boundary conditions, how to categorize these partial differential equations and so on in the previous video lecture. So here we will directly start with one-dimensional diffusion equation and its solution by Fourier decomposition method. So we have to solve one-dimensional diffusion equation by using Fourier decomposition method with Dirichlet boundary condition. So once again I'll just remind you what is this Dirichlet boundary condition. Dirichlet boundary conditions are those conditions where the function which has to be found, that itself is specified at different points of the boundary. For example, here u has to be found as a function of x and t, and you can see here u itself is specified at different points of the boundary. The boundary is here 0 to L, x from 0 to L, and you can see that itself u ನ ಫೈಂಡ್ ಔಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾಗಿದೆ. ಯುನೇ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಕೆಲವೊಂದು ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ಸ್ ಹತ್ರ ಯು ಗೊತ್ತಿದೆ, ಆದರೆ ಹೋಲ್ ಡೊಮೇನಲ್ಲಿ ಏನು ಯಾವ ಥರ ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ಫೈಂಡ್ ಔಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾಗಿರೋದು. ಸೊ ಯು ಫೈಂಡ್ ಔಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾಗಿದೆ, ಯುನೇ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಹೀಗಿದ್ರೆ ಇಂಥ ಕಂಡೀಷನ್ನ ನಾವೇನು ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ, ಡಿರಿಚ್ಲೆಟ್ ಬೌಂಡ್ರಿ ಕಂಡೀಷನ್ಸ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ. ಬೌಂಡ್ರಿ ಕಂಡೀಷನ್ಸ್ ಯಾಕೆ, ಡಿಫ್ರೆಂಟ್ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ಸ್ ಹತ್ರ ಸ್ಪೆಸಿಫೈ ಮಾಡಿರೋದ್ರಿಂದ ಬೌಂಡ್ರಿ ಕಂಡೀಷನ್ಸ್. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಈಕ್ವೇಷನ್ 1 ಈಸ್ ಒನ್ ಡೈಮೆನ್ಷನಲ್ ಹೀಟ್ ಈಕ್ವೇಷನ್ with the boundaries x from 0 to L. We know that this represents the heat conduction phenomenon through a rod. One end of the rod is being heated and we are trying to see how the heat is getting conducted to the other end. So this is equation 1, and this here we have first order derivative in t and second order derivative in x, which simply means that we need one condition on t and two conditions on x to get a particular solution of this equation 1. And here they have given you initial condition on t, only one point. At one point it will be specified. Anyhow we need only one condition here, so that is the initial condition u at x comma 0 is equal to f of x. ನೋಡಿ ಸೊಲ್ಯೂಷನ್ u of x comma t ಬೇಕಾಗಿರೋದು at t equal to 0 ಇದೆ. ಸೊ f of x ಅಂತ ಡಿಫೈನ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅದನ್ನ equation 2 ಅಂತ ತಗೋಣ. Boundary conditions, it is u at 0 comma t. Boundary x space variable at x equal to 0, x is equal to L. That is the boundary of the problem. Therefore, that itself is specified. U itself is specified at x equal to 0 and x is equal to L. Hence, it is Dirichlet boundary conditions, and let us call this as equation 3. So, now we are seeking the solution as a variable separable method solution. Therefore, what does it mean is, you can see here the variables are x and t here. I am trying to get the solution by separating the variables, which means that I am going to get a pure function of x and a pure function of t. And the product of that I will be taking as the complete solution of the given differential equation 1. And this here it is like decomposition. Like we are not having a mixed function of x and t, but here we have a function of x and function of t separated. That is, it is being decomposed into two different functions. Hence, it is called as decomposition method. And it was because of Fourier, hence it is Fourier decomposition method. So let us assume the solution as u of x comma t is equal to a function of x and a function of t. So capital X, capital T. Capital X ಅಂದ್ರೆ function of x ಅಂತ ಅರ್ಥ, capital T ಅಂದ್ರೆ function of t ಅಂತ ಅರ್ಥ. Every time I will not be writing x of x, t of t. It is like x into t. It is understood when I write x, it is a function of x. When I write t, it is a function of t. So let us call this as equation 4. So let this be the solution. Equation 4 be the solution of equation 1. What does that mean? ನಮಗೆ solution ಅಸ್ಯೂಮ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡ್ಬಿಟ್ವಿ ಅಂತ ಅರ್ಥ. ಅಸ್ಯೂಮ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದೀವಿ, ಆದರೆ ಈ ಅಸಂಪ್ಷನ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಕ್ಯಾಪಿಟಲ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು, ಕ್ಯಾಪಿಟಲ್ ಟಿ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ ಈಗೆಲ್ಲ ನಾವು ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾಗಿರೋದು ಏನು ಅಂದರೆ, ಇನ್ಸ್ಟೆಡ್ ಆಫ್ ಫೈಂಡಿಂಗ್ ಯು ವಿ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಫೈಂಡ್ ಕ್ಯಾಪಿಟಲ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಕ್ಯಾಪಿಟಲ್ ಟಿ. ದೆನ್ ವಿ ಕಂಬೈನ್ ದೆಮ್ ಟುಗೆದರ್, ಟೇಕ್ their product. That is will be the solution of equation 1. So now since we have assumed 4 as the solution of 1, we shall substitute this equation 4 in 1. It should satisfy because the assumption is it is a solution. So ಇದು ಸೊಲ್ಯೂಷನ್ ಆಗಿರೋದ್ರಿಂದ ಇದು 4ನ equation 1 ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಸಬ್ಸ್ಟಿಟ್ಯೂಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ equation satisfy ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. So substitute equation 4 in 1. So what do we get? You can see here, when I put t is equal to capital X into t, so differentiation is with respect to t, therefore function of x comes outside. And here when I put t is equal to x into t, the differentiation is with respect to x, therefore the function of t comes outside. So that is how you get this equation for capital X into dt by dt is equal to kappa t into d square x by dx square. You can see here, just note here that the ordinary derivatives have come into picture. The partial derivatives have been replaced with ordinary derivatives. That is quite obvious because when you take out the function of x, when you are differentiating with respect to t, x comes outside. So what is remaining? Dou capital T by dou t. But what is capital T? Capital T is a function of t. So it is like y is a function of x and it is being differentiated with respect to x. So like how we used to write dy by dx. Similarly, here dou t by dou t can be written as dt by dt. The same argument holds for dou square e by dou x square, which can be written as replacing with d square x by dx square. Now what we see here from equation 5 is, see here a function of t is there but capital X is there. I don't need capital X here. Here a function of x is there, a function of t is here. I don't need t here. So what we will do is we'll divide throughout by kappa x t. Why kappa means, since I just want to bring that kappa to the left hand side as it is a simple function here. Okay, simple derivative here. Let me just bring kappa t to the left hand side. So what we need to do is divide the equation 5 by kappa xt. What do we get? 1 by kappa t into dt by dt is equal to 1 by x into d square x by dx square. From where did I write this equal to k? Yes, you can see here, here in the left first term, it is a function of t. Second term is a function of x, and small t and small x are independent variables. How is this possible? A function of t being equal to a function of x only when they will be equal only when they are constant. So let us take that constant as k. Okay. So now you will get the two differential equations. First term with the third term, bring all the terms to one side, you will get one differential equation. Second term with the third term, bring all the terms to one side, you will be getting another differential equation. So you can see here, dt by dt minus k kappa t equal to 0 and d square x by dx square minus kx is equal to 0. Call them as equation 6 and 7. So now this value of k, what we have taken, this constant k plays an important role as it might give different solutions for different values of k. This k may be positive, this k may be 0, or this k may be negative. So let us see what happens if k is positive, if k is negative, and if k is 0. So let us just look at that, because that will change the way we write the solution, complementary function for these two equations. So the value of k plays an important role in deciding or in writing the complementary function or the solution of these two equations 6 and 7. So first let us take case 1 when k is positive. Let us take k to be positive. So as I said, k can be positive, negative, or 0. Let us take k to be positive. So let us take that to be as lambda square. So even if lambda is negative, lambda square is going to be positive. It is just to avoid one root in the solution that we are going to write. So just to avoid that root, we are taking it as lambda square. You can even take it as lambda, but I have taken it as lambda square. So say lambda square. So if you take k as lambda square, so what happens? If you see this, you can see that we had this in the previous video lecture. I had given you some first order and second order differential equation solutions, only the complementary function simply write k is equal to lambda square here. Now you can either separate the variables or write the auxiliary equation and write the complementary function. That should give you the solution of 6 and 7. Here kappa is equal to lambda square. If you write the auxiliary equation and write the complementary function, you will see that the roots of the auxiliary equation are plus or minus lambda, that means real and distinct roots. Here also you will have one root. Therefore you can see that T of t, the solution of 6 is P of t is equal to a e to the power kappa lambda square t, and x of x, because real and distinct roots plus or minus lambda, you can write it as b e to the power lambda x plus c e to the power minus lambda x, where this a, b, c are arbitrary constants. Let us call this as equation a. So this is 1. So you have got your capital X and capital T. You can take back to equation 4, which you have assumed capital X into T as the solution of given differential equation 1. You can take the product of these two and write it as a solution. So this is one solution of the given differential equation 1. Similarly now, case 2, let us take k to be 0. So if k is 0, we can see that they are simple derivatives which you can integrate the first equation 6 once, you will be getting the solution for t, and integrate twice, here you will be getting the solution for x. So in that case, p of t is equal to a and x of x is equal to bx plus. So this is what you are going to get. Now again you have got one more solution, because u is equal to capital X into t was the solution that we had assumed, and you have got your t and you have got your x. So the product of this should be giving you the solution. So this is one more solution of equation 1. Let us call it as equation 2. Now the third case, when k is negative. So when k is negative, you can see here that you will be getting dt by dt plus lambda square kappa t, and d square x by dx square plus lambda square x. So this equation actually gives you the auxiliary equation, gives you the roots of the auxiliary equation are complex. Therefore you will be getting a solution in trigonometric functions cos and sin. And here you have dt by dt is equal to minus plus, because k is minus lambda square, so you have, when it comes to the right hand side, it comes minus lambda square kappa t, or kappa lambda square minus kappa lambda square t. Separate the variables and integrate. The solution would be p of t is equal to a e to the power minus kappa lambda square t, and x of x is b cos lambda x plus c sin lambda x. So this is one more combination of the solution. So altogether you have A, B, C. These three solutions. All these three are the solutions of given differential equation 1. Mathematically, all of them are the correct solutions, depending, because they depend on the constant k. But when you are writing the solution, we know that heat conduction phenomena is a physical phenomena. So we need to be looking at, among these three solutions, which one is physically relevant, which represents exactly the physical phenomena. So we have to take up that particular solution and then continue to find the particular solution of the given differential equation. So among these three solutions A, B, C, just look at the solutions. The one, we know that heat diffusion is a decaying phenomena. While looking at some facts of one-dimensional heat equation, we have seen that heat diffusion, or by intuition also we know that after a long time heat gets diffused, and hence heat is a decaying phenomena. Hence you have decay. As time increases, heat decreases. Therefore, this is the one which gives you that physical nature, because other solutions, they are all, as time increases, temperature increases, so such phenomenon are seen here, which is not physically relevant. And here you can see that it remains constant at any time, it remains constant, so that is also not possible. Therefore it should be the equation C, which will give you the solution, physically relevant solution of the given differential equation 1. So among these three solutions, we have to choose equation C as the solutions of equation 6 and 7. So now equation A, B, C, that's what I told you about how to choose the solution among the three solutions has been written here. Equations A, B and C are the various possible solutions of equation 1. Among these solutions, we need to choose the one which is consistent with the physical nature of the problem. And we know that the solution of heat equation decays with time, hence equation C can be used to get the solution of equation 1. So the solutions of equation 6 and 7 are given by, so now write 6 is the function of t, so write the solution of t, and 7 is the function of x, derivative with respect to x, therefore write the solution x of x using the solutions. So call them as equations 8 and now, see, this is a general solution of the given differential equation 1, but they have given you the initial and boundary conditions, which means that these constants cannot be kept like this only. We have to get the particular values to these constants so that we get the particular solution of the given differential equation. So that means that we need to find these constants. Let us first find B and C. Why I am choosing to find B and C first? If you look at the given differential equation, the boundary condition, they are homogeneous boundary conditions. So let us try to use that simple boundary conditions first, which can be easily used to get the used and get the constants Okay. So let us try to find B and C. So using 3 and 4, we get 3 and 4 are 3 is the boundary conditions and 4 is the solution that we have assumed. So the 3 says u at 0 comma t is equal to 0. From 4 I can write u at 0 comma t as x at 0 into t at t is equal to 0. And from 3 once again u at L comma t is equal to 0, and from 4 I can write it as x at L into t at t is equal to 0. So now t at t cannot be 0 because t is greater than 0, and exponential function we have, therefore it cannot be equal to 0. T at t is never 0, therefore x at 0 should be equal to 0 and x at L should be equal to 0. Look at that. Since t at t is not equal to 0, which means that x at 0 is equal to 0 and x at L is equal to 0. Call them as equations 10 and 11. So now we have to make use of these equations. Why did we do this? Because our solution was in terms of capital X and capital T, and the conditions were in terms of U. So we had to convert them in terms of capital X and capital T to use them in the solution to get the constants. So we have used that and we have got the equations 10 and 11. So now use 9 and 10 together. Okay? So 9 is the solution of x and 10 is the first condition, x at 0 is equal to 0. If you substitute that, so wherever there is small x, put small x is equal to 0, x at 0 comes out to be 0, and here you will get this term sin 0 turns out to be 0 and cos 0 is 1, therefore you will get b is equal to 0. You need to solve that. Okay, you just substitute and check whether this is correct or not. B is equal to 0. Once you put b is equal to 0, therefore the equation 9 will become now b already ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ 0 ಆಗೋಯ್ತು. ಹಾಗಾದರೆ ಇವಾಗ ಉಳಿದಿರೋದೇನು x of x is equal to c sin lambda x ಉಳಿದಿರೋದು. Call this is equation 12. One more condition is there. Let us try to make use of that. So now 9, this implies 9 and 11. I'm sorry, here this is not there. 9 and 11 implies. 9 and 11 should come here. 9 and 11 implies c sin lambda L is equal to 0. It has come here. Please make the correction. Just put this 9 and 11 here above. 9 and 11 together implies c sin lambda L is equal to 0. But c is not 0. ಯಾಕೆ c 0 ಅಲ್ಲ? ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನೋಡಿ, ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಸೊಲ್ಯೂಷನ್ ಬಂದಿದೆ x of x ಆಲ್ರೆಡಿ. ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ b ಒಂದ್ಸಲ 0 ಆಗಿ ಹೋಗಿದೆ ಆಗಲೇ. ಇವಾಗ c ನು 0 ಆಗಿ ಹೋಗ್ಬಿಟ್ರೆ ನಾವು ಸೊಲ್ಯೂಷನ್ x 0 ಆಗಿ ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ. ನಾವು ಅವಾಗ ಯುನ ಏನಂತ ಅಸ್ಯೂಮ್ ಮಾಡಿದೀವಿ? ಕ್ಯಾಪಿಟಲ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ ಇಂಟು ಕ್ಯಾಪಿಟಲ್ ಟಿ ಅಂತ ಅಸ್ಯೂಮ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ವಿ. ಕ್ಯಾಪಿಟಲ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ ಇಂಟು ಕ್ಯಾಪಿಟಲ್ ಟಿ ನಲ್ಲಿ ಕ್ಯಾಪಿಟಲ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ 0 ಆಗಿ ಹೋಗ್ಬಿಟ್ರೆ ಯು ಏನಾಗೋಗುತ್ತೆ? 0 ಆಗಿ ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಟ್ರಿವಿಯಲ್ ಸೊಲ್ಯೂಷನ್ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಅದನ್ನ ಆ ಟ್ರಿವಿಯಲ್ ಸೊಲ್ಯೂಷನ್ ನಾವು ಹಾಗೇನೆ ಈಕ್ವೇಶನ್ ನೋಡಿದ್ರೆ ಯು ಇಸ್ ಈಕ್ವಲ್ ಟು 0 ಸಬ್ಸ್ಟಿಟ್ಯೂಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಈಕ್ವೇಶನ್ ಸ್ಯಾಟಿಸ್ಫೈ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ, ಈಕ್ವೇಶನ್ 1 ಸ್ಯಾಟಿಸ್ಫೈ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಇದು ಇಷ್ಟೆಲ್ಲ ಪ್ರಾಸೆಸ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಯು ಇಸ್ ಈಕ್ವಲ್ ಟು 0 ಅಂತ ತೋರಿಸ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ನಾವೇನು ಟ್ರೈ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ. ವಿ ಆರ್ ಟ್ರೈಂಗ್ ಟು ಲುಕ್ ಅಟ್ ನಾನ್ ಟ್ರಿವಿಯಲ್ ಸೊಲ್ಯೂಷನ್. ದೇರ್ಫೋರ್ ಸಿ ಕೆನಾಟ್ ಬಿ ಈಕ್ವಲ್ ಟು 0. Once c is not 0 means sin lambda L will become equal to 0. And we know that sin theta is 0 when theta is n pi. Theta place ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಿದೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ lambda L ಇದೆ. So lambda L is equal to n pi ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಅವಾಗ lambda was also an unknown if you remember because we had taken that as constant k is equal to minus lambda square ಅಂತ ತಗೊಂಡಿದ್ವಿ. ಆದ್ರೆ ಆ lambda ಏನು ಅಂತ ಗೊತ್ತಿರಲಿಲ್ಲ. ಆದ್ರೆ ಇವಾಗ ಇಲ್ಲೇನಾಯ್ತು ನಮಗೆ lambda ಗೊತ್ತಾಯ್ತು. lambda is equal to n pi by L. So now take this, it does 8 and 12. So equation 8 and equation now you have with lambda you have a solution. T of t is equal to a e to the power minus n square pi square by L square into kappa t e to the power minus kappa lambda square t ಇತ್ತಲ್ವಾ lambda ವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂನ ಸಬ್ಸ್ಟಿಟ್ಯೂಟ್ ಮಾಡಿರೋದು. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಕೂಡ ಅಷ್ಟೇ x of x ಅಲ್ಲಿ lambda ವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂನ ಸಬ್ಸ್ಟಿಟ್ಯೂಟ್ ಮಾಡಿರೋದು. Call them as equations 13 and 14. ಸೊ ಟಿ ಆಫ್ ಟಿ ಬಂತು, ಎಕ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ ಬಂತು. ಇದು ಟಿ ಆಫ್ ಟಿ ನಮಗೆ ಈ ಲ್ಯಾಂಬ್ಡಾ ವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂ ಬಂದಿದ್ದರಿಂದ ಅದು ಬಂದಿದೆ, ಅದನ್ನು ಹಾಗೆ ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದೀವಿ. ಆದರೆ ಈ ಎಕ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ ನಾನು ಎಲ್ಲಿಂದ ಬಂದಿದ್ದು ಅಂದರೆ ನಾನು ಎರಡೂ ಬೌಂಡ್ರಿ ಕಂಡೀಷನ್ಸ್ನ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದೀನಿ, ಹೋಮೋಜಿನಿಯಸ್ ಕಂಡೀಷನ್ಸ್ನ, ಅದಾದಮೇಲೆ ಬಂದಿದ್ದು. ಈಗ ನಾನು ಎರಡೂ ಹೋಮೋಜಿನಿಯಸ್ ಕಂಡೀಷನ್ಸ್ನ ಬೌಂಡ್ರಿ ಕಂಡೀಷನ್ಸ್ನ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೀನಿ. ಉಳಿದಿರೋದು ಒಂದೇ ಒಂದು ಕಂಡೀಷನ್ನು, ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಅದು ಏನಾಗಿದೆ ಇನ್ಹೋಮೋಜಿನಿಯಸ್ ಆಗಿದೆ. ಸೊ ಇನ್ಹೋಮೋಜಿನಿಯಸ್ ಕಂಡೀಷನ್ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡುವಾಗ ನಾವು ಸೊಲ್ಯೂಷನ್ನ ಕಂಬೈನ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡ್ಬಿಡೋಣ. ಸೊ ಯೂಸಿಂಗ್ 13 and 14 in 4 ಯಾವುದು ಸೊಲ್ಯೂಷನ್ ಅಸ್ಯೂಮ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡಿರೋದು ಕ್ಯಾಪಿಟಲ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ ಇಂಟು ಕ್ಯಾಪಿಟಲ್ ಟಿ. ಸೊ ಅದನ್ನ ತಗೊಂಡು ಹೋಗಿ 13 and 14ನ ಕಂಬೈನ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋಣ, ಪ್ರಾಡಕ್ಟ್ ತಗೊಳ್ಳೋಣ. ವಾಟ್ ಡು ವಿ ಗೆಟ್? ಯು ಅಟ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ ಕಾಮ ಟಿ, ಯು ಆಫ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ ಕಾಮ ಟಿ ಈಸ್ ಈಕ್ವಲ್ ಟು ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಮಲ್ಟಿಪ್ಲೈ ಟಿ ಆಫ್ ಟಿ ಇಂಟು ಎಕ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್. ಸೊ ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ದಟ್ ಸೊಲ್ಯೂಷನ್. ಅಂಡ್ ನೌ ಲುಕ್ ಅಟ್ ಎ ಇಂಟು ಸಿ can be combined together because both of them are arbitrary constants. They can be combined together to get one more constants. And now see, n ಗೆ ಡಿಫರೆಂಟ್ ವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂಸ್ ಇದೆ ಅಲ್ವಾ. ಲ್ಯಾಂಬ್ಡಾ ಇಸ್ ಈಕ್ವಲ್ ಟು ಎನ್ ಪೈ ಅಂತ ಬಂದಿದೆ. ಎನ್ ಇಸ್ ಈಕ್ವಲ್ ಟು 1 2 3 4 ಅಂಡ್ ಸೊ ಆನ್. ವಿ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಕೀಪ್ ಆನ್ ಪುಟ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ದ ವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂಸ್. ಸೊ ಹಾಗೆ ನಾವು ಎನ್ ಇಸ್ ಈಕ್ವಲ್ ಟು 1 ಕೊಟ್ಟಾಗ ಒಂದು ಸೊಲ್ಯೂಷನ್ ಬರುತ್ತೆ, ಎನ್ ಇಸ್ ಈಕ್ವಲ್ ಟು 2 ಕೊಟ್ಟಾಗ ಒಂದು ಸೊಲ್ಯೂಷನ್ ಬರುತ್ತೆ, ಎನ್ ಇಸ್ ಈಕ್ವಲ್ ಟು 3 ಕೊಟ್ಟಾಗ ಒಂದು ಸೊಲ್ಯೂಷನ್ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಆ ರೀತಿಯಾಗಿ ನಮಗೆ ಇನ್ಫೈನೈಟ್ ನಂಬರ್ ಆಫ್ ಸೊಲ್ಯೂಷನ್ಸ್ ಬರ್ತಾ ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ. ನಮಗೆ ಏನು ಒಂದು ಈಕ್ವೇಷನ್, ಈ ಈಕ್ವೇಷನ್ ಲೀನಿಯರ್ ಈಕ್ವೇಷನ್ ಇರೋದ್ರಿಂದ ನಮಗೆ ಒಂದು ಪ್ರಿನ್ಸಿಪಲ್ ಆಫ್ ಸೂಪರ್ ಪೊಸಿಷನ್ ಅಂದರೆ ಲೀನಿಯರ್ ಡಿಫರೆನ್ಷಿಯಲ್ ಈಕ್ವೇಷನ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡಾಗ ನಾವು ಒಂದು ಪ್ರಾಪರ್ಟಿ ಹೇಳಿರ್ತೀವಿ. ಇಫ್ y1 and y2 ಆರ್ ದ ಸೊಲ್ಯೂಷನ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಎ ಡಿಫರೆನ್ಷಿಯಲ್ ಈಕ್ವೇಷನ್ ದೆನ್ ದೇರ್ ಲೀನಿಯರ್ ಕಾಂಬಿನೇಷನ್ c1y1 ಪ್ಲಸ್ c2y2 ಈಸ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ಎ ಸೊಲ್ಯೂಷನ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಡಿಫರೆನ್ಷಿಯಲ್ ಈಕ್ವೇಷನ್ ಅಂತ. ಹಾಗೆ ಅದೇ ಥರನೇ ಇಲ್ಲೇನು ಬಂದಿರುತ್ತೆ, ಎನ್ ನಂಬರ್ ಆಫ್ ಇನ್ಫೈನೈಟ್ ನಂಬರ್ ಆಫ್ ಸೊಲ್ಯೂಷನ್ಸ್ ಬಂದಿರುತ್ತೆ. ಪ್ರತಿ ಸಲ ಒಂದೊಂದು ಎನ್ ಈಕ್ವಲ್ ಟು 1 ಕೊಟ್ಟಾಗ ಒಂದು ಕಾನ್ಸ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಈ ಎರಡು ಕಾನ್ಸ್ಟೆಂಟ್ನ ಕಂಬೈನ್ ಮಾಡಿ ನಾನು ಇವಾಗ ಕ್ಯಾಪಿಟಲ್ ಎ ಅಂತಲೇ ತಗೊಳ್ಳೋಣ. ಅದನ್ನು ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಎನ್ ಈಕ್ವಲ್ ಟು 1 ಕೊಟ್ಟಾಗ ಒಂದು ಕಾನ್ಸ್ಟೆಂಟ್, ಎನ್ ಈಕ್ವಲ್ ಟು 2 ಕೊಟ್ಟಾಗ ಒಂದು ಕಾನ್ಸ್ಟೆಂಟ್. ಸೊ ಯು ವಿಲ್ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಡಿಫ್ರೆಂಟ್ ಸೊಲ್ಯೂಷನ್ಸ್. ಸೊ ವಿ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಕಂಬೈನ್ ದೆಮ್ ಟುಗೆದರ್ ವಿಚ್ ಈಸ್ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ ಆಸ್ ಪ್ರಿನ್ಸಿಪಲ್ ಆಫ್ ಸೂಪರ್ ಪೊಸಿಷನ್. ಸೊ ಲೀನಿಯರ್ ಇರೋದ್ರಿಂದ ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು, ನಾನು ಎಲ್ಲ ಸೊಲ್ಯೂಷನ್ನ ಲೀನಿಯರ್ ಕಾಂಬಿನೇಷನ್ ತೊಗೊಂಡು ಅದನ್ನು ಕೂಡ ಒಂದು ಸೊಲ್ಯೂಷನ್ ಅಂತ ಬರೀಬೋದು. ಅವಾಗ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ಸಿನ್ಸ್ ದ ಹೀಟ್ ಈಕ್ವೇಷನ್ ಈಸ್ ಲೀನಿಯರ್ ದ ಪ್ರಿನ್ಸಿಪಲ್ ಆಫ್ ಸೂಪರ್ ಪೊಸಿಷನ್ ಹೋಲ್ಡ್ಸ್ and hence you will have u of x comma t is equal to summation n equal to 1 to infinity an e to the power minus n square pi square by L square into kappa t into sin n pi by L into x. Call this as equation 15. So this is now the one format that we have got as the solution in terms of x and t. Look at that. But here still there is one more constant left, an, which we need to find. For this we have one initial condition which we need to use to get this constant an. So to find an. Now what does 2 imply? The initial condition only has to be used now. That is the only condition which is left. So 2 implies u of x comma 0 is equal to f of x. So now take 15 and use this condition. So in 15 wherever there is t, put t is equal to 0. So when you put t equal to 0 it becomes u of x comma 0 which is nothing but f of x. So 15 implies f of x is equal to summation n is equal to 1 to infinity an ಅಲ್ವಾ. t equal to 0 ಹಾಕಿದ್ರೆ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, e ಪವರ್ 0 ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. e ಪವರ್ 0 ಆದರೆ 1 ಆಯಿತು. ಉಳಿದಿರೋದು ಏನಾವಾಗ an ಇಂಟು sin n pi by L into x. Now you have to go back to your Fourier series. Just look at this. It is looking like sine series sine terms matra ide, sine series. So this is half range and we know the range is 0 to L. So half range Fourier sine series expansion of this function f of x in the interval 0 to L. X variable 0 to L allide. So ಇದು half range Fourier sine series expansion. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಹೇಗೆ ಫೈಂಡ್ ಔಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ, ಎ ಎನ್ ನ ಕಾನ್ಸ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ನ ಐಲರ್ ಕಾನ್ಸ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ವಿ. ಇದನ್ನ ಹೇಗೆ ಫೈಂಡ್ ಔಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ, ಎ ಎನ್ ಇಸ್ ಈಕ್ವಲ್ ಟು 2 by L 0 to L f of x sin n pi by L x into dx. So this is how we can get the constant an. ಈ ಕಾನ್ಸ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಎ ಎನ್ನ ಇದರಿಂದ ಫೈಂಡ್ ಔಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು. ಇದನ್ನ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಕಂಪ್ಲೀಟ್ ಆಗಿ ನಾವು ಫೈಂಡ್ ಔಟ್ ಮಾಡಿಲ್ಲ, ಯಾಕೆಂದ್ರೆ ವಾಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಮೈ ಎಫ್ ಆಫ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ ಐ ಡೋಂಟ್ ನೋ. ಸೊ ಇಫ್ ಯು ನೋ ಯುವರ್ ಎಫ್ ಆಫ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್, just substitute that f of x here, complete this integration, apply the limits, and you will be getting your an. So that you have the solution. Equation 15 whatever you have written is nothing but the solution of equation 1, where with ans are given by equation 16. So that means equation 15 along with equation 16 is the solution of equation 1. So this is how we need to get the solution of one-dimensional heat equation by Fourier decomposition method, and this solution is with Dirichlet boundary condition. Similarly, we have the Fourier decomposition method or the variable separable method of solving one-dimensional diffusion equation with Newman boundary. So ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ಏನು ಡಿಫ್ರೆಂಟು, ಬರೀ ಕಂಡೀಷನ್ಸ್ ಮಾತ್ರ, ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಸಿಮಿಲರ್ ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ. ಆದರೆ ನೋಡಿ, ನಿಮಗೆ ಬೌಂಡ್ರಿ ಕಂಡೀಷನ್ಸು ಡಿರಿಚ್ಲೆಟ್ ಕಂಡೀಷನ್ಸ್ ಇದ್ದಾಗ ಯು ಅಟ್ 0, ಯು ಅಟ್ ಎಲ್ ಟಿ. ಆದರೆ ಇಲ್ಲೇನಾಗಿದೆ, ಡೋ ಯು ಬೈ ಡೋ ಎಕ್ಸ್ ಅಟ್ 0, ಡೋ ಯು ಬೈ ಡೋ ಎಕ್ಸ್ ಅಟ್ ಎಲ್. Derivative function u has to be found, but its derivatives are specified on the boundary. Such conditions are known as Newman boundary conditions. So the procedure remains the same, except that when you are using the boundary conditions, instead of u at 0, t is equal to x at 0 into t of t, you have to first differentiate x of x, then use the condition. So let us just check how we are going to solve this using this Newman boundary condition. So as we have done in the Dirichlet boundary condition, the procedure remains the same. Assume u of x comma t is equal to capital X into t as the solution of equation 1. Then substitute this equation 4 in equation 1. Separate the variables using the same process, dividing throughout by kappa xt and 1 by and what do we get is 1 by kappa t dt by dt is equal to 1 by x d square x by dx square. You can see that this is similar to what we have done in Dirichlet problem, and here directly I am taking minus lambda square because I know that this when I take minus sign I am going to get the physically relevant solution. So now that if you take first term with the third term and second term with the third term, you will be getting these equations and you can solve this. We have the same procedure of solving these equations. Either by you have to write these are ordinary differential equations with constant coefficient. So you can easily, if this equation, you can either separate the variables or write the auxiliary equation. Here you write the auxiliary equation and write the solution. Call them as equations 5 and 6. ರಿಮೆಂಬರ್ ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ಸ್, ಇಲ್ಲಿವರೆಗೂ ಇಕ್ವೇಶನ್ 5, 6 ಏನು ಬಂದಿದೆ ಅಲ್ವಾ ಸೊಲ್ಯೂಷನು, ಇಲ್ಲಿವರೆಗೂ ನಮಗೆ ಯಾವುದೇ ಕಂಡೀಷನ್ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ಡಿರಿಚ್ಲೆಟ್ ಕಂಡೀಷನ್ ಇರ್ಬೋದು ಅಥವಾ ನ್ಯೂಮನ್ ಕಂಡೀಷನ್ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ಇಲ್ಲಿವರೆಗೂ ಸೊಲ್ಯೂಷನು ಸೇಮ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಯಾಕಂದರೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿವರೆಗೂ ನಾವು ಯಾವ ಬೌಂಡ್ರಿ ಕಂಡೀಷನು ಇನಿಷಿಯಲ್ ಕಂಡೀಷನು ಏನು ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಲ್ಲ. ಇದಾದಮೇಲೆ ನಾವು ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ, ಕಂಡೀಷನ್ಸ್ನ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ. ಆವಾಗ ಮಾತ್ರ ನಾವು ಯಾವ ಕಂಡೀಷನ್ ಇರುತ್ತೋ ಅದ್ರ ಪ್ರಕಾರ ನಾವು ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೋಗಬೇಕು. ಕೊಟ್ಟಾಗ ನ್ಯೂಮನ್ ಮಾಡೋದು, ನ್ಯೂಮನ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟಾಗ ಡಿರಿಚ್ಲೆಟ್ ಮಾಡೋದು ಮಾಡಕ್ಕೆ ಹೋಗಬಾರ್ದು. ಇದು ನ್ಯೂಮನ್ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಇದೆ. ನ್ಯೂಮನ್ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕಂಡೀಷನ್ ಏನು ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ಡೋ ಯು ಬೈ ಡೋ ಎಕ್ಸ್ ಅಟ್ 0, t is equal to 0. So what happens, x dash at 0. So uನ ನಾನು capital X and t ಅಂತ substitute ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ t has nothing to do with this derivative. Therefore t comes outside, t of t remains as it is, and you will be left with dou x by dou x, dou capital X by dou x, which is nothing but x dash, and x dash is at 0. X dash andre differentiation of capital X with respect to x. X dash at 0 and t at t is equal to 0. Similarly, dou u by dou x at L comma t equal to 0 gives you x dash of L and t at t is equal to 0. ಆದರೆ ಇದು ಮತ್ತೆ ಸೇಮ್ ಏನು t of t is not equal to 0. Therefore, what happens is x dash of 0 is equal to 0 and x dash of L is equal to 0. So what does that mean? I need x dash first. Then I can put x is equal to 0 and x is equal to L. You have capital X from equation 6. Differentiate that with respect to x. So here it has been written x dash of x is equal to, just differentiate this with respect to x. You will be getting minus b lambda sin lambda x plus c lambda cos lambda x. Call this as equation 7. Okay, now you see here from these two equations t of t is not equal to 0. Therefore x dash of 0 is equal to 0. Call this as equation 8, and from this equation you will get x dash of L is equal to 0 since t of t is not equal to 0. Call that as equation 9. Now use 8 and 7. 8 and 7 should give you, this time put x equal to 0. What happens? See, this term identically becomes 0, and here you will have cos lambda x will become 1. So c lambda is equal to 0 you will get. Lambda is not 0 because we have taken the value lambda to be a negative value, lambda square. ಓಕೆ ಮೈನಸ್ ಲ್ಯಾಂಬ್ಡಾ ಸ್ಕ್ವೇರ್ನ ನಾವು ಲ್ಯಾಂಬ್ಡಾ 0 ತೊಗೊಂಡಿದ್ರೆ ಈ ಸೊಲ್ಯೂಷನ್ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇರಲಿಲ್ಲ. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಲ್ಯಾಂಬ್ಡಾ ವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂ 0 ಅಲ್ಲ ಆದ ಕಾರಣ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ ನಿಮಗೆ, ಸೊ ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ವಾಟ್ ಫ್ರಮ್ 8 and 7 we get c is equal to 0 since lambda is not equal to 0. So substitute c is equal to 0 in your equation 6. Therefore your equation 6 becomes x of x is equal to b cos lambda x. Now use 9 and 7. From that we get minus b lambda sin lambda L is equal to 0. Lambda is not 0, b also not 0. Again the same argument holds good. Lambda we have not taken it to be 0 because for 0 we have a different solution. And if b also becomes 0, already c is 0. x of x ಅಲ್ಲಿ b 0 ಮತ್ತು c 0 ಎರಡು 0 ಆಗೋಗ್ಬಿಟ್ರೆ ಕ್ಯಾಪಿಟಲ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ ಪೂರ್ತಿಯಾಗಿ 0 ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಆವಾಗ ನಮಗೆ ಯು ಏನು ಬರುತ್ತೆ, ಟ್ರಿವಿಯಲ್ ಸೊಲ್ಯೂಷನ್ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಬಿನ 0 ಆಗಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಸಾಧ್ಯನೇ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಆವಾಗ ಉಳಿದಿರೋದೇನು, ಸೈನ್ ಲ್ಯಾಂಬ್ಡಾ ಎಲ್ ಇಸ್ ಈಕ್ವಲ್ ಟು 0 ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. Sin lambda L is 0 andre same argument matte sin theta equal to 0 implies theta equal to n pi. Therefore lambda is equal to n pi by L. So now use 10 in equations 5 and 6. 5 and 6 are the solutions t of t and x of x. So now just replace lambda by n pi by L so that you are going to get t of t and x of x now. So ಇವಾಗ ಈಗ ಏನಾಗಿದೆ, ನಮಗೆ ಬೌಂಡ್ರಿ ಕಂಡೀಷನ್ಸ್ನ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಂಡು ಸೊಲ್ಯೂಷನ್ಸ್ ಬಂದೋಗಿದೆ. ಉಳಿದಿರೋದು ಒಂದೇ ಒಂದು ಇನಿಷಿಯಲ್ ಕಂಡೀಷನ್, ಅದು ಇನ್ಹೋಮೋಜೀನಿಯಸ್ ಆಗಿದೆ. ಸೊ ಇನ್ಹೋಮೋಜೀನಿಯಸ್ ಕಂಡೀಷನ್ ಮಾಡುವಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಮುಂಚೆ ನಾನು ಹೇಳಿದ್ದನ್ನು ನೆನ್ಪಿಟ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. ಏನು ಮಾಡಿ, ಸೊಲ್ಯೂಷನ್ನ ಮರ್ಜ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. ಅಂದರೆ ಎಕ್ಸ್ ಇಂಟು ಟಿ, just substitute your x and t in equation 4 which you have assumed as the solution capital X into t. So you equation 4 now becomes, so before using the inhomogeneous condition write the solution u is equal to x into t and then use the inhomogeneous condition. So u at x comma t is equal to, just multiply these two, capital X into capital T. Again, as we have said in the Dirichlet condition problem, we can write this as since the equation is linear, we can write the solution using the principle of superposition. I have already explained to you how you are going to do that while solving the Dirichlet problem. So you can write the solution as u of x comma t is equal to summation n equal to 1 to infinity a n e to the power minus n square pi square by L square kappa t into cos n pi by L x. So call this as equation 11. Now you have to find this constant an. Once if you find this constant, this equation 11 is going to be the solution after you substitute your an. So to find an, from 2 what we have, u at x comma 0, I think yeah this is 2, u at x comma 0 is equal to f of x. So now take this and substitute in 11. So 11 becomes f of x is equal to summation. Put t is equal to 0. You can see that e power 0 becomes 1. Hence you will have an cos n pi by l into x. Once again, Fourier series expansion will come to our help, our rescue. By looking at it, we can see that this is a cosine series expansion in the interval 0 to L. Therefore, this is half range Fourier cosine series expansion of f of x in the interval 0, L. So again, using the Euler's constant definition, an can be written as 2 by L 0 to L f of x cos n pi by L x dx. So if you know your f of x, substitute that, complete the integration, substitute the limits, and then take back that an, substitute in 11. That will be the solution of the one-dimensional heat equation with Newman boundary condition. So you can just see here the difference between the Dirichlet boundary condition solution and the Newman boundary condition solution is, in the Dirichlet boundary condition we had sine function, in the Newman boundary condition we have cosine function. So this is because of the conditions being directly Dirichlet condition, u was given, and in the Newman condition the derivative of u was given, therefore there is a change. So we know that derivative of sine goes to cos and cos goes to sine. So this is how the solution is obtained. So now equation 11 along with equation 12 is the solution of given differential equation, which is one-dimensional heat equation. So what you can do is you can take up different f of x. In the initial condition f of x, you can take different values, different functions of x, and try to integrate and get the solution so that it becomes a practice for you. But while doing that, you taking f of x and integrating, just don't go for this last step alone. Go through each and every step, write each and every step, and then try to practice it so that it becomes easy for you when you are writing your exams. Thank you.